35,000 people have already heard my advice on this 425-page AI report from Stanford University. Listen in so you can too.
In this episode, we're breaking down the 4 things from the report that actually matter for your business.
What's changing and what most companies are missing and what you should be doing differently right now.
For example, according to this report, 88% of organizations now say they use AI.
But not all of them are seeing the full impact of AI. Welcome back to the AI in Marketing podcast for local businesses, the show that gives you practical, proven marketing advice to help you grow your business right here in the UK. My name's Adam. I'm a best-selling Amazon published author, AI enthusiast and presenter, and founder of www.websitedesigners.london. We've helped businesses generate tens of millions online through smarter design and marketing.
My name's Josh. I'm the founder of ImproveMySearchRanking.com, a SEO and AI search agency based in London and 3-time winner of the UK Search Awards. Over the past 10 years, we've worked with over 1,000 businesses, helping them generate well over £200 million in sales.
So why does this report really matter? Well, firstly, let's just get into before we get into the findings, it's worth understanding what this report actually is. It comes from Stanford University, an offshoot branch or organization called the Stanford Institute for Human-Centered Artificial Intelligence, commonly known as Stanford HAI, as it's an acronym HAI, which is part of the university. So they publish this AI Index report every single year. It's widely seen as one of the most comprehensive snapshots of what's actually happening in AI globally. And obviously, AI will change our lives, whether we like it or not. It pulls together data from multiple sources, studies, and reputable organizations, including academia, industry, and even governments. It covers everything from adoption from people, individuals, and organizations, investments, to jobs, performance, and real-world impact.
So this isn't our opinion or speculation. It's one of the most credible data-backed views of where AI really is right now.
Exactly. And what we've done is go through the full report and pull out 4 key findings that actually matter if you're running a business. There is a lot in there. As I say, it's 425 pages, but we're not going to go through all of it, just pulling out the 4 key points. Very little of it gets translated into what you should actually do differently. It's more so a data kind of analysis.
So the first point is adoption is everywhere. Transformation is not. So let's build on that statistic of 88% of organizations say they're using AI. That sounds like mass adoption, but the report makes something very clear. Adoption doesn't equal transformation. So most companies have access or are using AI to some degree now, but very few have redesigned their processes and systems and how they work to get things done with the use of AI. So teams are starting to use ChatGPT, Copilot. Members of staff might be using AI, but there's no coherent strategy or people just doing what they think. They're typing their own prompts in. It's helping them get tasks done faster, maybe slightly better, or from taking in input from AI as well. But the AI agents systems that carry out the work are only using single digit percentages across most business functions. So there's a real opportunity to improve here.
And that's what I've seen across organizations as well. They've got access, but when you ask them the ultimate question, and this is what it really boils down to, is what has fundamentally changed when you've adopted AI? And typically there's no clear answer. So yes, speeding things up, becoming more efficient is absolutely more useful. But the real key is when your actual process changes, your workflow changes, because ultimately that's where you get the most value add. So for example, if the old process was you write something, you review, edit, and then publish, if the AI helps you write faster with AI, so AI drafts, AI refines, human approves, and then you're able to publish at scale. So I guess the kind of key point here is if you can't point to a process or answer that question I posed earlier about a process that you've rebuilt around AI, it's still early doors. Just to really nail this one in the head here, ask yourself that exact question. what has changed or what parts of the process have changed because of AI? And if you're unable to answer that, then you're probably in the stat of, yes, 88% of organizations use it, but you're probably part of the minority or you're not part of the minority that have actually seen an improvement or significant change in the process of how you do things in your business. Tip number two. So productivity is rising and junior hiring is falling. So a lot of people, and just for context here, where we mentioned in the intro, 35,000 people have already heard these 4 tips, posted on TikTok, and it went viral. Lots of comments, lots of engagement, and because of how topical these are and how valuable and value add these 4 tips are. So number two here is that the upshot here is there is a lack of um, succession planning amongst organizations. So essentially, the report highlighted a productivity gain from 14% to 26% in areas like customer support and software development. At the same time, and this is based on the US, employment for US developers, as in code developers, aged between 22 and 25, dropped by 20%. But senior roles have continued to grow. So if you think about it like this, AI is taking over those entry level roles, and that's the roles that junior people used to learn from. So I guess I'll leave the next bit to you, Josh.
Yeah, so that has improved efficiency in the short term, but creates a big risk in the long term, because if you remove those entry level roles, then you remove the development path in your organization. So there's a big risk there that perhaps in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whenever it may be, you'll not have any new staff that are experienced, and you won't have trained anybody new, and therefore perhaps smart businesses won't stop hiring junior staff. I mean, personally, as a business owner, when I think about hiring now, that question is in my mind: can an AI do this junior level position? But is that not a great idea for me to not hire new people? Because eventually, who's going to take over the other account managers in the business, the other technical SEO people in the business, if we don't bring in on any new staff?
They might leave, and
Yeah.
then you'll be left with a market which hasn't been trained fully. But I guess you've got to balance you've got to balance it between training people and hope they don't leave, so then you can promote them internally, versus benefiting with AI, saving on hiring costs for those junior people to use AI instead, and just having senior people in the firm. And the more you grow, the more important it will be to train the junior talent,
Mm.
in my view.
Mm. Yeah, so I suppose the old role, or before AI, everything was done, of course, manually. Nowadays, there is the people's roles need to develop, I suppose, to use AI to help generate more, to be more productive, to help refine their work, to improve their work, and this can, make your existing staff and new staff more productive and better employees. I suppose from again from my point of view, I wonder that with the improvement with AI, the rapid improvement, will most white collar jobs, which I think they refer to, will AI be able to do 90% of them? And actually, then do you need hundreds of staff in these big organizations, or do you just need 20 super high level people overseeing everything? That's almost also like an ethical discussion.
Absolutely agree. So tip number three, and this is important, right? And this is where my old saying, which I kind of love, is just get it done. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So tip number three is the models are converging. So AI models are converging. A lot of the tools, your ChatGPT, your Claudes, your Copilot, whatever you want to use, the models are essentially becoming as good as each other. So it challenges the assumption that we've got to find the best AI tool. Organizations shouldn't be focusing on trying to find the best AI tool, is what the data shows. And specifically, what the data shows is the gap between the top US and Chinese models is just 2.7%, right? So open source models are improving quickly. What that means is they're becoming less of a differentiator.
So yeah, the advantage shifts away from the tools itself.
Exactly that. So it shifts to how you use it. What actually matters is your data, your workflow, how your team uses it, how it fits into your operation, which links nicely to that first point you talked about, Josh, around um, using it well and changing processes, not just making things a bit more productive. So the simple way to think about it is the tool is the engine, the system is the vehicle. Essentially, you embed the tool in your systems, make sure everybody is using it, have a high adoption rate, and focus less on the tool you choose, focus more on how your business is structured to use it. But honestly, um, uh, you need to make everybody in the organization use AI. If they don't use it, you will stay behind your competitors, and your competitors will overshoot you. And it is now becoming a baseline, i.e., organizations using and embedding AI. It's becoming a baseline. So those who don't will fall behind. There's no doubt about that in my view.
Point number 4 from this document from Stanford is that AI still fails in ways you don't expect.
Mm.
So yeah, many businesses are getting caught out where these tools aren't working properly. And the report explains something called the jagged frontier. So, for example, a frontier AI model today can achieve gold level performance at the mathematic Olympiad, I think last year. I don't know who won it. I think it might have been OpenAI or Claude. I'm not sure which one won. But the same model reliably can't read an analog clock. So as simple as a task of reading a clock, it can't do, but it can
Mm.
win the math Olympiad. I recently saw a comedic ChatGPT sketch on Instagram Reels where a guy asked ChatGPT to record how quickly he can run a mile, and he said, "Ready, steady, go." He came back in 5 seconds and said, "I finished." And then ChatGPT said, "Well done, you just ran a mile in 20 minutes," and clearly not correct.
Yeah, for sure. And look, just want to explain this term, jagged frontier. So what the jagged frontier is essentially saying AI is like it's it's brilliant. It can have PhD level knowledge in some areas, but or in a lot of areas, but lacks the common sense of a 5-year-old. So um, that's essentially what the jagged line or the jagged frontier refers to. So it essentially can perform complex tasks really well, but still fail one. So the takeaway here is check your work, human in the loop, i.e., a human needs to review the output of AI because small errors can go unnoticed. And I did a couple of posts on my social media around the leading, one of the leading law firms who charged something like 2 grand an hour, um, how they submitted legal documentation in the US to a judge, um, and the opposition had noticed that the submitted documents contained cases that weren't even real cases. So they're using cases as a kind of uh, part of their defense, to say, in 1955, Adam v. Josh showed that blah, blah, blah. They just invented it because they used AI and there clearly there weren't the controls in place for that review to have completed. So again, this is the whole kind of element of how AI often presents answers really confidently, even when it's wrong, to the example you gave earlier as well. So have a clear review structure. If it's low risk, automate it. If it's medium risk, review periodically. High risk, always review. So this is about just being consistent in your approach.
Cool. So, in summary, the 4 key takeaways from the Stanford AI Index for 2026 are as follows. Number 1, AI adoption is widespread. Operational change, however, is still limited. Number 2, productivity is increasing, but talent development needs some attention. Third, the models are getting closer in their abilities. So it's more of a case of improving your internal systems, creating an advantage rather than the AI model selection. And finally, AI is extremely powerful, but it's not always reliable.
Ultimately, we hope you enjoyed that. But if you're leading a business right now, the opportunity is super, super clear. Move beyond the occasional use, embed it with your team, give them, um, you know, benefits and kind of whether you want to lead with carrot or stick, um, create healthy competition, top 5 users, and maybe you stick as well. If you don't use it for 3 times a week over 90 days, then you might get your license taken away or something like that. Start embedding AI into how work actually happens, change processes, not just using it to make things a little quicker. We hope you've enjoyed listening. We've certainly enjoyed sharing that with you. Please do follow. Please leave us a 5-star review. It really helps get the podcast out there. We appreciate you listening. Thank you.